Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have a treat to work on. This one was one of the reels that David brought in. I just recently did a video on his flea market finds, and well, these two were called out. These were his mom's reels, and he said they need service and they need the drag washers replaced. Well, I don't know if that click, click, click is the anti-reverse or what it may be. This reel is in generally very nice condition. We're going to take this reel apart. It's the Daiwa AG9000X. The AG, I believe, stands for Apollo Gold. And, well, we're going to see how this reel is made, show you how to service it in case you have one of these yourselves, and we'll talk about that drag washer upgrade that can be done with this reel. If I remember, and it's been quite some time, those drag washers in there are Teflon drag washers. Generally, they don't need to be replaced, but if he's getting them where they're slipping, they could be worn. And I believe that the reels were used heavily, so it may just make sense to switch them over, and we'll talk about how to do that. I want to start by removing the exterior pieces. We took the handle out by unscrewing the side cap. When I take my pieces and parts out, I put those into a parts tray for safekeeping. That enables me to know where they are when it's time to reinstall. I just messed up on a reel. I just did a reel service, and I laid a piece down on the side. Thought that the part was missing when I went to redo the reel, and well, it turned out later that instead of it being a missing part, it was laying on the side. So even when you have a part strategy, you need to use that strategy to get this to get it done. Okay. We have 4 side plate screws here. As I take those out, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of service fishing reels, if you like to learn about them, you like to see the various types of reels that have been made over time, how to take them apart and what makes them work. And I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, use that notification button. That will tell you when I'm posting. And well, you can see if that's a video you would like to watch. There are 4 of these side plate screws. I'm checking them as I take them out to make sure that they are all the same length, which they are, and I've put those into a corner of my parts tray. With those removed, we should be able to remove the side plate. And this is a view of a reel typically made on the lower end side of the reel. It's not a bad reel. Interestingly enough, I just checked on this one. This is made in China. So this puts this reel into the 2000s. And this is a crosswind arm. It's connected by a pin to a crosswind block that holds the axle shaft. And overall, this is a relatively simple reel. We're going to take off the winding arm. Now that gives us access to the crosswind block, which is holding the axle shaft. When you take these off, make sure that you identify what side belongs where. This has a shiny side, this is more of a matted finish, and the matted finish was facing me. And also a good time to mention, if you don't know the reels, one of the good things to do is to take pictures. Those pictures will help you and if you get sidetracked or you lost your train of thought when it came time to reinstall. I've removed the screw that's holding the axle shaft. I'll hold the crosswind block and pull up, pull out on that axle shaft. What just came out there is the click ratchet, and on that click ratchet there is also a spool height adjusting washer. When I wiped down the axle shaft, it seemed like it was a little caked with grease, and well, it was, and that will kind of limit the throw on the reel and how easy it reels. Okay, just going to put that back on the axle shaft. I'm going to put that screw into the axle shaft here for safekeeping. I don't think this is a ball bearing reel. I think this is 0 ball bearings, which is probably what I was hearing when we were cranking away. Well, I'm not having any luck putting that in, but I will put that into my case so that I don't lose those pieces and parts. No ball bearing on this side. There is a plastic bushing which is part of the case. It does come out if needed. With those two pieces removed, we can remove the crosswind block. And part of your cleaning experience is to wipe them down and get all of the dirt and debris out of the reel, or as much of it out of the reel as you can, because the old greases and dirts will jam up the workings and again may actually injure parts. Right, that's the way that this one goes into my part strike. Big main gear, that should come out now. This one actually pulled the bushing out of the case. I'll put that back in a moment. And well, all that's kind of left here is some dried grease on that anti-reverse override switch. And well, next up we would want to remove the rotor. To remove the rotor, there's a U-clip that comes out. Clean that. Place that into the parts tray, and now the rotor will simply pick up. This is pretty much a straightforward reel. We have the pinion gear as part of the spool assembly. We have a toothed ratchet here for your anti-reverse. And this little guy up top here is making the noise when the spool lets out. That gives us access here to clean this piece. I'm going to use a little bit of penetrating oil in there to loosen up the remaining grease. Take a picture again. There is a spring here that if you somehow dislodged it, that's where that goes. And David was saying that the issue is more about the drags holding than anything. So we got a reel that needs to be relubricated. We got some issues with the drag washers that he would like me to replace them. And we'll show you how to do that on an older reel where you may or may not have access to them. This is the bushing that goes back into the case. Seated back here. There's an identical one on the other case. As you can see from this, the grease is very dry. It's been a long time since the reel has actually been serviced. There's no grease in the teeth, and all of this stuff has basically been thrown off by centrifugal force. We're just going to use a cotton swab and some of that penetrating oil to clean that up, and then wipe it down with that paper towel. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, maybe you're working on one and you're stuck, maybe you want to know a little bit more about the reels, just leave that question in the comment section. I will try to answer that for you. I'm going to use a hard bristle brush to pull through now. Make sure that I have all of those teeth cleaned. Inspect them, check it from the one side, and then check the points of those this way to make sure that they're not worn or knocked down, which can happen and cause a rumbling. Okay, time to reinstall this. We're going to use fishing reel grease. I'm using Penn Precision reel grease here. That's the blue grease. And I'm using an artist brush. I like the artist brush because they don't lose the hairs. And those hairs don't get trapped in mechanisms. All right, a little bit of grease onto the post here, which is going to go into the bushing. This is the control for your anti-reverse override. It's working fine. We just want to put a little bit of oil on the seams of that. And I think that's the answer to what is knocking, and my guess is that is the trip lever for the bail. So we have a broken part in here, and I'm going to have to advise David on this one you're not going to be able to get that part. The reel is too old. But the advice is to just trip the bail manually. That will enable you to fish. Not a big deal. Okay. So grease the pinion gear on this side. That was the tick, tick, tick that was going on inside this reel. There was that little piece of metal hitting the trip cam. All right. So first thing in, then we can replace the rotor. I'm going to turn that to the off position so that I can land that rotor easily. And my parts tray, we will get the clip. Seat the clip in here, make sure that it's flush to the case. Yeah, no click, click, click now. With that bail wire, just a little squirt of penetrating oil in there will help it flip a little bit easier. Let's take our main gear and reseat this. Let's take the crosswind block first. A little bit of grease onto the back. That's going to slide in the groove here. Bring that down. Now we can bring our main gear in. And we've cleaned the axle already, so let's go ahead and put the grease on the axle shaft. Bring the axle shaft through the top. Then the flat side faces out and merges with the crosswind block. The crosswind block tie down screw. And tighten that up. Just like that. I'm noticing I have a little bit of dried grease on that main gear there. So I'll go ahead and kind of pull that out as well. So I use a variety of techniques for cleaning. I use scrapers, I use cotton swabs, picks for the tight spots, and the like. Alright, we said the matted finish faces out on this crosswind arm. Get that over the top. Line up your pin from the crosswind block, and that essentially is that. A little bit of grease onto the shaft on the other side, which is going to ride in the other bushing. And we can take our plate and put that over. So now we're going to actually get to the point where what David asked. He wants to upgrade those washers in this one. Go ahead and do that. So a lot of people wonder why parts are not available for reels. Well, this reel was probably on the value price side of the Daiwa lineup. They were probably mass produced, particularly in China. And well, they set aside a certain amount of reels for warranty and replacement, and a certain amount of parts. And when those parts are gone, they're gone. And in this case, a reel like this doesn't get a lot of support. A lot of times it doesn't even get serviced because of the price point on it. And well, it's just one of those things that you accept if you're buying a lower cost entry. So you can probably get, I don't think probably, you can get parts for 40-year-old Daiwa C-line reels, but you can't get parts for 10-year-old reels. All right, let's give that a turn. That turns nicely. All right, put the handle back on. Then we're going to show you what to do about those drag washer upgrades. Again, I think that's a Teflon washer in there. We'll find out. That's typically common. You're going to have three types of drag washers. You'll have Teflon, you'll have felt, or you'll have a fabric. Yeah, it turns nice enough. Wow. That is a loud anti-reverse if I've heard one. Alright, let's go over to the spool side then, and we'll show you what to do with that. The spool has got a retaining clip in it. You need to remove that to get to the drag washers. And this will either have a 3 or a 5 drag washer set, I don't remember. The bigger reels, I think, that they made in this pattern had the 5 washers because you needed the drag and the washers just weren't that big. Alright, you want to get that clip out, you want to hold that so that it doesn't fly. And then let's see if we can just tap these out. We can, the whole stack came out great. Okay, as I mentioned with the other ones, you're not going to find the drag washers for this one anymore. But you can generally substitute drag washers from a different manufacturer, even the same manufacturer for a different reel. Yeah, we have the five washer set here. One, two, three, four, 5 metals. 1, 2, 3, 4 drag washers. That means one of the metals goes on the bottom. Wasn't quite a bit of attention to that. All right, let's go wipe this down first. Clean this up. All right, so this is the washer he's complaining about, saying they're not holding well, they're slipping. I'm going to shut the camera off for a minute. I'm going to go find washers that may be close in size to that, that can be used as an alternative. Okay, well, I'm back, and I think I have the ideal answer. This is drag washers from Penn for the Beachmaster series. They certainly look close. These are Carbon Tech's versions, or Penn's Carbon Tech version, and I think you'll agree that's pretty darn close. So I'm going to go ahead and change out the Teflon washers for the Penn. We have 3 of these keyed washers. They have the rectangular center. You have 2 of these with the bent tabs down. They're called eared washers. I'm going to start by putting in a keyed washer. Let's see how that fits. Fits nice and tight inside. Those you have the option to putting grease on them or leaving them dry. We're going to leave these dry. First of the ones with the bent down. Bent tabs, the eared washer. It's going to take a second. I need 4 of these. I think I have 5 in that envelope there. Second of the new washers. Second of the keyed washers. Third of the washers. Second keyed washer. Those little tabs need to go in these slots. Last of the new washers, keyed washer. Now we want to put that clip back in the piece. Now, while I'm doing this, suppose I didn't have that Penn washer in there. Suppose that by luck it didn't just line up correctly. You can order drag washers by size, and the way you can do that, the important dimensions is the inside diameter. So get a micrometer. Is that what we call these? I have a digital one. So get the micrometer. Make sure it's in millimeters. Almost all of these are going to be measured in millimeters. Go ahead and grab your piece. Point to point, and this says 11.23. Usually rounds up to 11 1/4, 25. Then measure the outside diameter, 18.6. Sometimes you're going to be asked to measure the width as well, 0.82. So you don't, and companies like smoothdrag.com do have certain sizes of these washers available. So you could say, okay, I need the, 11 1/4 on the side, 18 and whatever it was on the top, and the width, and they can match that up, or at least they can match them up as close as you're going to be able to get to that. You can undersize the washer. In other words, it's a little bit smaller on the external diameter. You can oversize the washer a little bit wider on the inner diameter, but if one or the other is bigger or smaller, no can do. All right, so we showed you that we can find an acceptable alternative to the Teflon washers. We showed you how to install them. Let's put this back on. We'll take the button and tighten that down. Boy, everything on this reel makes a lot of noise. Okay, the reel's taken apart completely. It was cleaned. Oh, look at that. Nice and tight there. David, you can hook a big fish there and not worry about that slipping. Those are drag washers for life. All right, test it. Again, that's a real loud anti-reverse, and we know it's the anti-reverse because when we flip it to the off position, it's a nice smooth reel. So there you go. I think I'm hitting on the tape here. Okay, we know that the bail is broken. It will not trip, but just simply cast. And when your cast is done, just flip it back manually. It will work. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. That is the Daiwa AG9000X. We show you how to take it apart and service it. We explained to you that, well, the trip lever clutch is broken, or trip lever itself is broken, but it can still be operated. We showed you how to substitute drag washers for the originals and that they will work. We show you how to measure them if you didn't happen to have those around, and to find an acceptable alternative. And as a source of supply, we recommended smoothdrag.com, which does sell some washers by size, and well, they can generally help you if you're in a pinch on some of these older reels. I hope this has been informative and that you've enjoyed it. I want to take a minute to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, and all the folks that work to keep us safe. And I want to wish everybody a great day, fun on the water, and a good time fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.